So thank you all for coming, and I think we'll go ahead and move into our slideshow. I wanted to just introduce the Career Rise team. You can see us all on video, and we serve young folks in our community who range from 14 to 24 years old. And we're really here to support those young folks in moving forward in their career pathway and in their employment goals. And so we do this by supporting them and working with them through connecting with businesses and just having an opportunity to explore the different kinds of career pathways that are available in Northern Colorado. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is our expertise in job search support. And so we are here to help young folks learn how to process through that job search support. It can be a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes it can be confusing on what to do and where to go. So we offer one-on-one support through meeting to discuss a job search plan. We can review resumes, we can set up mock interviews. We can also meet to sit down and just talk about different career options and help that person understand where their interests may lie. What's great is you can see there's a QRC code on our page. If you want to scan it, it'll take you straight to the page that has this information. We have links to connecting to resume reviews, links to connecting to schedule those mock interviews. We really want to try to take a lot of the hard work out of that process. So any way that we can make it easier for a young person, we're trying to do that for them. Another great resource that is available and it's free and we do a little bit of the work for you is in our job postings that we have. You can find those through our Career Rise Facebook page. We are posting youth-friendly job opportunities about once a week through that Facebook page. We also have our Summerworks Newsletter, which you can sign up for through our website. And this newsletter right now will be coming out every other week through up until summer. And in this newsletter, we'll be posting out job opportunities. We'll be highlighting and featuring employers. We'll be putting tips and advice on the job search process. And we also post really great resources that are meaningful to young adults. It is a free newsletter. You can opt in and opt out at any time. So I would encourage you to check that out and get yourself signed up. We also have on our employment support page some tips for those 14 to 15-year-olds out there that I know want to get to work and want to find those employers that will hire them. And so we've compiled a list of tips and advice for those young folks. And then we also have a youth-friendly employer list that we've put together over the years, categorizing by the age that they hire. And this is really just youth-friendly employers who hire young people across the county. So before we hop into our featured panel event, we have a poll up on the screen and we'd love to find out who is in our viewing audience tonight. So take a few minutes for those of you on and just go ahead and click in this poll and let us know who is sitting out there in the audience. Give it a few more moments to see who else we've got in the room. Great. And then another question we have, do we have our second poll question coming up?
Yo, hold up. What's up, Uno, my best friend?
No? All right. Well, I'm going to hand it off to, oh, there it is. On top of where you're from, we want to know who you are. So take a few minutes and let us know if you are a young person looking for work, if you're a parent, if you're a partner out in the community. Understanding who our audience is going to be really helpful in making sure that we get the right information out to you. And then a couple other housekeeping things that I just will add in while we're finishing up this poll. If you do have questions throughout the panel, you're welcome to ask those questions. You can do that via chat, and you'll find that there's a Career Rise Nicole, and you can chat your questions to her. Or if you want to brave the camera and ask the question yourself, we would ask you to do a hand raise on the little icon through Zoom, and then we'll get to your question as soon as we finish out a question with our employers. We'll get to you. So those are two ways to ask questions. We do want to make sure that this is an interactive panel, so please feel free if you've got questions or you hear something that generates a question in your mind. Feel free to ask that by chatting to Nicole or raising your little virtual hand, and we will get to you. And without further ado, I am going to pass this off to our Colorado State University intern, Jessica, who will facilitate our panel event for the evening.
Sweet, thank you, Sandy. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica, and like Sandy mentioned, I am one of the CSU interns at Career Rise. I am super excited to be here today, and I'm super fortunate to be able to moderate. So today we have Sarah from the city of Fort Collins, Lisa from Mulver's Ice Cream, Angie from Columbine Health Systems, and Elliott from Urban Air. I'm just going to give it a few more moments for our last panelist to get spotlighted so you all can see all of us. Excellent. All righty. Again, thank you so much to our panelists for showing up today. And we can just go ahead and get started. And so the first question that we have is just that we'd love you all just to tell us a little bit about yourselves, the company that you're here for, your position, and then what employment opportunities do you have for young adults in our community? I'm just gonna go in the order on my screen. So Sarah, if you could start us off, that'd be great.
You bet. Thanks for having me. My name is Sarah Garnier. I'm a supervisor with the City of Fort Collins Recreation Department. I oversee programs and operations at our Northside Aslan Community Center in North Fort Collins. I also serve as the staff liaison for our Youth Advisory Board. And that advisory board is made up of up to 9 youth from middle and high school students from community schools. So if you are interested in learning more about how to get involved with City Council and advocating for youth in your community, you can certainly look at that website, and I've passed that on to Nicole. She can share that with you. I've been with the city about a year, but I've been working in local government for a little over 12 years. And current positions that we have available are not a lot due to a city hiring freeze, and as all businesses and agencies are experiencing right now through the pandemic. But for this age group, we are looking for some seasonal positions, which are geared for summer. Lifeguards, swim instructors, camp counselors, both in our rec centers and at our farm facility, which is super fun to be a pony ride camp counselor. We also have fitness instructors and clerical aides, which do require a little bit of experience coming in, but those are all posted on our website, fcgov.com/jobs. And outside the recreation department, we also have positions for youth and young adults working as junior crew members in our parks department, crew members in our natural areas department, and all kinds of positions for those with a little bit of experience, whether that's working as a transport bus operator to a utility worker, all the way up through crime analysts with the police department and a municipal court referee. So a wide variety of opportunities with the city, and a few out there for this age group right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Lots of cool and a wide variety of opportunities at the City of Fort Collins. How about you, Lisa? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lisa Paw, and I'm the owner operator of Walrus Ice Cream. I don't have as many opportunities, but I do hire 16 and up. I love being a first job employer. I feel like it's my responsibility to teach you how to have a job and to go out into the world and be productive and understand just basic rules. But I will hire 20 people, hopefully this summer. We didn't hire very many last summer due to COVID, but I have high hopes for 2021. And I feel like after last weekend that we have the potential to get there. We're very old school. We don't have anything posted online. You'll come in and get a paper application and give it to whoever's working here, and then I review them on a daily basis. I hired 2 people this week. They'll start next week. After they're trained, I'll look again and see where we're at. So it's a slow process. I do requirements for jobs like mine are nights, weekends, holidays, because that's when everybody else is having fun, that's when we're making money. And just friendly, outgoing, happy people that want to work and do a good job and meet the community.
And they have really good ice cream. Thanks for sharing, Lisa. How about you, Elliott? What's going on at Urban Air?
Yeah, so I'm Elliott Bankston. I am the park operations manager over at Urban Air. So I've been with the company since we've opened, so coming up on 2 years now here in June. And as for employment opportunities for us, so right now with COVID, we are getting a lot more business. Our capacity is going up fairly quickly. So right now we are hiring kind of like crazy over here. I think the past month I've hired right around 20 people, and I'm still looking. We hire anyone 15 and older. Only sorts of requirements for us are at least weekday or weekend availabilities. Weekdays work great. We definitely are very much like how Lisa was saying. We are also very much a first-time job. Our hours are very much set around the school district's hours. So during the school year, we open at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, just because most of the time that's when the kids are going to be coming in. So very good first-time job for high schoolers who are in school and don't get out until right around 3 or 4. There's never the chance of missing a shift because you're in school on a weekday. So all of our employment information is going to be on our website. I will send it over to Nicole here in a second so she can post that link, but it's going to be on our website at the very bottom. It'll say careers. It all goes through that. It's all an online application, and then we just get in contact with everybody through email.
Cool. Thanks, Elliott. And it's super rare to find employment opportunities for those 15 and up. So that's awesome. Angie, how about you at Columbine?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Angie Scarpello, and I have been with Columbine Health Systems for the last 10 years. I've been in the field of nursing for over 20. I'm a registered nurse and have done pretty much everything you can possibly think of as a nurse. But with Columbine, we are locally owned and operated. We've been in the Fort Collins, Loveland, Windsor communities for, like I said, 50 years. Right now, as the clinical recruiter, I'm able to talk with youth. I'm able to talk with mostly nurses, CNAs, those really looking and interested in becoming somebody in the medical field. So happy to be here. So thank you for that. Opportunities that we have for students. You can become a server or food nutrition aide. So it's a great career pathway if you're looking to get into the culinary pathway or registered dietitian. We also have nursing pathways or medical career pathways, and you can start off as a resident assistant at the age of 17. personal care providers, certified nursing assistants. We also have, for those who are 16, activity assistants, and like I said, in the dietary departments as well. So some good opportunities for youth.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Angie. And so the next question that I am going to ask is, how has COVID affected employment at your business? This time around, let's start with Lisa.
Unfortunately, it's affected the hospitality industry greatly. So normally when we hire, like last summer, 25 people or 2019, now we're trying to just get back to 2019. But things are getting better. And so we have a trailer that we take out and we do outdoor events. So we need people to work that. And we have the in-store, and we have wholesale and delivery. And there's a bunch of avenues that we need people for. So, you know, it has affected us, but it's better, I guess I could say. And I think it's going to continue to get better.
Right on. I love the optimism. How about you, Elliott? Is there anything that Lisa shared that's maybe different or something new?
Yeah, so very similar to her, COVID definitely impacted the hospitality business, and that's definitely a big part of what Urban Air is. We are kind of in the mix of gym and restaurant because of our indoor cafe as well. So we were very strongly affected by, in the same way that gyms were, being very much an indoor and confined place where people are running around and very much interacting with each other and friends and family. So when we reopened, we went from having roughly 120, 130 employees before we shut down to dropping to 50 or 60 just with such a low capacity. But now shooting back up at such a quick rate, we're looking to get right around back to 100, close to 120 again. So just really working through that and having the staff that stuck around since we shut down last March to now, and the people we hired on right when we reopened, it's really interesting to see how they're going through either being there when we were at full capacity and then getting to a point where we had a capacity of 50, or the people who got hired on right as we reopened with COVID, and they're just now learning how to fully interact with guests, kids and parents both, and just kind of trying to help them, and they're getting more of like a slow introduction to it, but it's really fun to see and to help watch them grow and all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Even with, you know, everything going on, there's still definitely some opportunities out there. Angie, how about you at Columbine?
Well, COVID definitely affected the healthcare field immensely. Unlike my other panelists, we didn't shut down. We kept going and actually continued to hire. So we take care of our residents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we had to definitely adjust to all the COVID restrictions. Long-term care, the geriatric care, the regulations are very impactful from the state and county health departments. So we definitely had a lot of changes to make, but, you know, hopefully we're now on the other side of it and ready to open up more again to families. You know, the biggest change that we had for our residents is families and friends couldn't come in and visit their residents. So that was really, really hard, not only on our residents, but also on our staff, because it was difficult to see our residents missing their families so much. So now we're starting to open up more, and we're really excited to start seeing people again.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Angie. And, you know, Columbine does a lot of great work, so kudos to all of you who just like kept on working through that. How about you, Sarah? What about the city of Fort Collins?
Yeah, so fun story, actually started working for the city the week prior to shutdowns. And so really the only thing I've known since working with the city is changes due to COVID. We've been impacted on so many levels. Citywide, essential services never shut down. But in recreation, there was a short time that we were closed to the public. During that time, my facility specifically switched gears. We turned into a shelter for those individuals and families experiencing homelessness. And after that sheltering experience, it took us about 4 weeks to rehabilitate our facility in order to be able to open back up as a rec center. During that time, we continued working as full-time staff, but we're unfortunately had to furlough all of our part-time staff. And when we started bringing those staff back, a lot of our staff had to find other jobs during that time, or weren't ready to re-enter the workforce when we were ready to open. So it's been a really slow process bringing people back on board. Like I said, we've been on a hiring freeze. So I think right now we have 8 full-time positions that are vacant in our department alone. Several of those in the management area that are being filled with interim positions, staff in other areas. And excuse me, part-time staff, as we get those positions approved, especially for our public-facing programs and facilities, it's looking a lot better. Last year, our childcare programs and summer camps, fortunately, we had a lot of people who were still on payroll and students that were returning from the previous year, but I was only approved to hire 8 additional summer camp counselors last year, and we served over 120 kids a day. So we ran pretty thin, especially with all the extra COVID precautions that we needed to attend to. This year, I'm super excited. Just for one program alone, I'm looking for over 35 high school and early college students to work in our summer camps. So it's definitely looking up. We're starting to get some of our positions back, and it's affected everything, our operation hours. And as we get more people back on board, then we can open up for more hours and serve more people in the community. So it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Sarah. It feels like slowly but surely is kind of the motto for this year, for sure. And so again, like Sandy mentioned before, if any of the audience members, if y'all have questions, feel free to send that to CareerWise Nicole. You can find that in the participants, or if you want to use the raise your hand feature, feel free to do that as well, and we can answer any questions that you have. But we'll just kind of move on to the next question that we have, which is, please tell us about your organization's application process and share with us what you look for in an employee. And if you have any, share a story with us when an applicant stood out for hiring and what they did to make such a strong impression. This time around, I'm going to start with Elliott.
So our application process is fully digital. So our application is directly on our website. It's a fairly straightforward application. It does have like every position listed that we have. It all just goes kind of into one system though. So most people just apply for team member or like cafe member. If you apply for team member, that's going to be anything working essentially outside of our cafe. But there's also the chance of being there as well if you would like. Applying for a cafe member just means that we know right away that you really want to work in the cafe. So we go through all that, and then our HR lady, her name is Megan, she goes through all of the applications. The main thing she's looking for really is availability. Just making sure that people are available at least on weekends, because that is our busiest times. At that point, she sends an email to everybody who she would like to interview, just letting them know like, hi, we're really interested in interviewing you. She sends them a couple different days and time options, waits for an email back. And then that's when I get my list of everybody that I have interviews for the day. I do all of our interviews with the exception of our general manager, starting to do them now as well, just because of how many people we're looking to hire. But for us, our interview process is about 15 minutes long. It's a one-on-one with either me or our general manager. Pretty much it's just getting to know you really. I mean, what I generally am looking for, availability, and just getting to know you as a person. So I tend to ask, because we get a lot of high schoolers like, oh, do you do any clubs or sports or anything like that at school? What's your favorite subject? Do you have any plans after high school? Just it's very much just like a conversation. I just want to kind of get to know you and see what you're like and what you're interested in, and if you do any sports, anything like that. And then trying to get a feel for what areas in the park you do really well in. So I always go over the 5 main areas we have to work at, and then ask what you would be interested in. Is there anything you'd be interested in trying at some point in the future? And just trying to get a feel. And I always let people know as well, like, hey, I think that you'd be really good as a birthday party host here. I think you would do really well as a party host. Just to always start it off with a little bit of like a confidence boost. I know with first jobs, it can definitely be scary and intimidating, especially getting hired on. It's very exciting, but it's also very nerve-wracking. So starting it off with on a positive note of, hey, I think this is where you do really well at, even if it's a little scary to you. And I mean, any applicants that have like stood out, I mean, there's quite a few for us. The main things I can think of people who stood out to me really is just people who were super happy to be there. And it was clear that they were shy or nervous, but just overall really happy to be there, smiling, like wanting to make actual conversation and not just like one word answers. Those are the type of people who really stand out to me. And 5-10 minutes into an interview, I know that they're going to do really well here.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that you mentioned that the interview process is kind of more of like having a conversation, getting to know that person. That's super cool. How about you, Angie?
Sure. So our application is also online at columbinehealth.com. You would click join our team, and then you would be able to find different career paths. So again, if you're interested in dietary, if you're interested in activities, social services, things like that, you would just click on those buttons. For all of those positions other than clinical, your applications would go directly to those hiring managers. And because we do have multiple facilities on multiple campuses, you need to know where you would like to go, whether it's Fort Collins, Loveland, or Windsor. If you are hiring for a clinical position, for instance, a certified nursing assistant, a resident assistant, you'll actually get a phone call from me. So it's a very personalized step-by-step process. I'll walk you through it. And then once we have a conversation, and that's again kind of mimicking what Elliott said, it is a conversation with me, and we talk about your preferences and what you're looking for, and I let you know what I have available and where I feel like you would maybe fit in the best, and then I get your application to those hiring managers as well. As far as what I look for in applicants, really it's about passion for caring for others and having compassion for others. You know, skills we can teach, but it's really that bedside manner. And do you really want to care for our elderly population versus just there for a paycheck? So that's really what I look for.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Angie. How about you, Sarah?
Sure. So all of our applications are done online as well, fcgov.com/jobs. And that will take you to a portal that you can create an account in. And what's really great about our portal is that you can log on and create your account anytime. You don't need to do it right before you apply for a job. So you can log in, create your account, spend some time on that, add in all of your experience, your contact information, your education, and it will just stay there. So when a job does become open that you're interested in, and you can sign up on that webpage as well for alerts. So you can check all the different areas that you're interested in. And then when jobs come available in that area, you'll get an email to go log into your account, choose that job, and just hit apply. Super easy. You can upload resumes, cover letters, and send notes along with that too. So if you have more information outside of your application, you can attach that as well. For me, when I'm interviewing in recreation, obviously we're looking for people who are really high energy, looking for positivity, enthusiasm, someone who's going to come to work every day and be excited to play. It's really great to be in a spot where you can have fun at your job. So we want you to show up and be you, and let us know what your passions and your interests are, because there's almost always a spot for you to incorporate what those interests are into what you do when you're working with kids, especially. I really look for applicants to help share their why with me. Like, why do you want to be here? What is it that you're going to get out of that job? Is it helping you better a skill that you are interested in? Is it going to help you reach a goal that you have for your future and your career? I want our jobs to be mutually beneficial. So yes, you're working for us, but how are we helping you grow at the same time? And what are you getting out of it so that you stay interested in your field and want to continue to grow and develop?
Awesome. Yeah, I love that idea of trying to figure out the why. Are there any applicants that you've noticed that have like stood out to you, or any stories that you might have, Sarah?
I do have one that's very recent. It's more of a personal story, but I'll share it with you because it was a super proud mom moment for me. So my son is 16 and he recently applied for a job working with the city in the Parks Department as the junior crew member that I told you about. And when he had his interview, I was listening in, as moms sometimes do. And when they asked him why he wanted that job, I was really impressed to hear his answer. And he talked about how he's grown up playing in the parks, how he played sports on the ball fields. And now that he's a teenager, he goes to all the skate parks and hangs out there with his friends. And he just talked about how he wanted to keep the parks clean and make sure that other kids can continue to enjoy that too. And that just kind of hit me. You know, that was a super proud mom moment. Like I said, that his why actually spoke exactly to what we try to do here at the city and serving our community. And he wanted to help give back to do that. So just making that connection, finding that spot where you know you're getting something out of it, but you're able to give something to your employer too.
That's awesome. I love that story. I love a good proud mom moment for sure. How about you, Lisa? What does the application process kind of look like at Walrus, and if there are any applicant stories that have stood up to you?
Sarah, you should be very proud. I would have been heart melted with that. So we are very old school, paper application. I'm not looking for previous work experience. If you have some, that's fantastic. Things that stand out to me are eye contact, genuine excitement about the possibility of working here. I like outgoing people, but that doesn't mean you have to be outgoing. A story that just happened, I interviewed a gentleman 2 days ago who came in here in a shirt and tie, which immediately I started to smile. Even with my mask, I think he knew that. And then I asked him, you know, one of my questions is, you know, how do you do with customer service, and what do you think you can provide that we need here at Walrus? And he said, to be honest, I'm extremely shy, but I would like to come out of my shell. He was straight up about it. And to me, that was important. And I'm like, well, we can help you and you can make friends here. So I hired him. So being honest, applying for a job without your friends, just coming in on your own, understanding that we know that you play sports, and I am 100% good with my staff playing sports, and I'll schedule around it, but know that you have to be available at least more than once a week, and that you want to work, and that your parents know that you're looking for a job, and they know that Walrus closes at 10 and it's going to be 10:45 before you get home. And are they okay with that? And that your friends know that you're looking for a job, and so that they can't come in and hang out with you while you're working, that it's still a job, it's fun, but it's still a job. So just that you're serious about it and that you want it, and that we're going to be able to trust you with something that we put so much energy of our life to. I'm very blessed with the the amount of people that I get applying for applications in here. And a lot of it comes down to timing. So when they come in September or October, I'm not going to hire because we're starting to slow down. But when they start coming in March and they're looking for summer jobs, that's when things start to get exciting and I get happy. And new people bring energy. So I love new hires because they bring their own attitude and their own energy and their own happiness with them when they come in the door, which reflects on all of us because we are a team. So anyway, thank you.
Absolutely, that's awesome. So we actually do have a couple questions from the audience. This one is specifically for you, Elliott. So a question for Urban Air. It says, I'm 2 months from turning 15. Would I have to wait until my birthday to apply, or apply now and then get hired / start working after my birthday?
Yeah, so you would be good to apply now. We do interviews for people who are 14 turning 15 soon. So that is a possibility. You could definitely apply now and still get interviewed, and still have the potential to get hired on, and then just have you start after you turn 15. I think right now is actually a very good time to do that if you are interested. Like I said, it is definitely a very good first job. I actually just hired 2 or 3 15-year-olds in the past week. So we do have quite a few younger kids coming on. And I just think it's a really good opportunity. So if you are interested, I would say go ahead and apply now. I'd be super happy to meet you. Honestly, I'd probably remember you right away. And you'd be all good to just start after your birthday.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that question. And another question that we have is that, so we have in this event right now, we currently have attendees who fall into the 14 to 15-year-old category. And just kind of like, the question is if you would have like any sort of advice that you have for someone within that age range and looking for work. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Angie with this one.
So, with Columbine, we don't hire at 14 and 15, but definitely start thinking about volunteer opportunities as we're starting to open up. You're going to have more opportunities to volunteer. So you can volunteer in the activities department. My daughter has done that for the last 3 years, and she's 14 now, almost 15. So she knows that when she turns 16, she'll be ready to start working as an activity assistant at one of our facilities. She's been prepped and ready for that. So definitely look for opportunities to volunteer.
How about you, Sarah? Any advice for folks that fall in that 14 to 15-year-old range?
Sure. We don't have a lot in that age range either. The youth advisory board that I mentioned is definitely one way to get involved. I'll share another website with Nicole that's our volunteer site as well. There's a number of opportunities that come up year round that you could get involved in. We do have a lifeguard class that starts at age 14, and you do have to pay to take that class, but once you've completed it, then you can get hired on as a lifeguard at age 15. The youngest that we can hire in our summer camp programs is 16. I would say just be open. With there not being a ton of opportunities for that age range, to really just keep an open mind and think about things that you could learn anywhere. So even if it's not the top of your priority list of a job that you would have picked right away, you can still take something from that experience, and you never know where it's going to take you from there, who you might meet, who you might get to talk to, or what other opportunities could come from it. So I would just say that, just stay open.
Yeah, absolutely. Volunteering is definitely super meaningful, and you can gain a lot of experience from it. How about you, Lisa? Any advice for 14 to 15-year-olds in the audience?
I don't have a lot to add. We have a freezer that gets too cold for me to hire anybody under the age of 16 because it's a walk-in freezer. So there are regulations with that. I agree with the volunteer thing, and I agree with any experience. It's good experience. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Godfather's. There's not probably a job that I would have turned down, and I got something out of every single job. Safeway, bagging groceries. I mean, there are opportunities out there, And, you know, work experience is work experience. So I like that.
Absolutely. And then what about you, Elliot? I know you said that you hire 15-year-olds, but any advice?
Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot more to add. I mean, yeah, I 100% agree. Volunteer is probably one of the best things that I hear from 14 and 15-year-olds who come in and are looking for jobs, or even 16-year-olds who this is going to be their first job, and but they used to volunteer. I think another really good one is, if it's possible for you, like your parents are okay with it, everything like that, babysitting is a really good one. As not a full direct job, but it definitely shows responsibility and a drive to want to work and want to do something. Anything along those lines. I mean, I get a lot of kids who come in at the end of the summer who let me know, like, oh yeah, I went around and I mowed lawns all summer. And that, I feel like, to a lot of teenagers, that doesn't seem like a lot, but to me, that really stands out, that you spent your free time going around and helping out people and mowing their lawns, and you're just very driven. And I think that even something as small as that shows a lot.
Absolutely. Initiative and taking that initiative is super important. So this is similar to the first question that I asked you, Elliot, but someone asked, I'm 14, but I turned 15 in December, which is 9 months away instead. And I want to work at Urban Air. Would my age be a problem?
So very similar to what I said last time. So we do hire starting at 15. December is also a very big hiring time for us, because all of our hours are based around Poudre School District's hours. So right around December, when winter break is coming up for all the high schoolers and middle schoolers, we do a lot of hiring right around the end of November, beginning of December, just because we're going to be open full time for right around 2 or 3 weeks. So I think waiting off a little bit, we do still hire quite a bit right around that time, even 15-year-olds always. So I think holding off right around then, definitely doing something along the lines of kind of what we had all just talked about, some volunteer work, even like maybe some babysitting, definitely would help you get a little bit prepared for the job. But I mean, yeah, just I think with how big of a gap it is, holding off a little bit, but we do a lot of hiring right around December as well. So that's also going to be a really good time to apply.
Awesome, noted. And then we actually do have a question for Angie. And the question is, how early can you start volunteering at Columbine?
Absolutely. So my daughter started when she was 12. So that was absolutely wonderful for her. So it's just going to depend on when the volunteer opportunities open back up.
Absolutely. That's super awesome that she started at age 12. That's super cool. And so one question that I want to ask the panelists, we can start with Sarah, and it is, what's your sort of last kernel of wisdom / kind of piece that you want youth to take away from the event tonight?
Oh, you're probably starting with me on that one. I think what I talked about being open, but I think too, not being afraid of being rejected and putting yourself out there is something that I would take away from this. Is just, it's all about experience, and no matter what experience you have, whether it's filling out an application, walking in and talking to someone, I never had one of those jobs where I had to cold call people, but I could never do that. And walking in and picking up an application and talking to someone off the bat makes me super nervous, and I feel super intimidated. And I know when you're out there looking for your first job, that's really typical. But I have colleagues now that are well into their careers, and they still apply for a lot of jobs, and they get turned down a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everything that you go through, every experience that you have, you can take a little nugget or a kernel of experience to help you be prepared for the next time and the next opportunity that comes along. So I'm just happy to be here. I wish everybody a lot of luck. I know there's a lot of opportunities coming up this summer. There's a lot of places that are going to be looking for people, and we all are ready to get back out there and work with each other and alongside each other. So best to everyone.
Definitely. Trial and error is a huge part of just figuring anything out, for sure. How about you, Lisa? Any advice or wisdom for the audience?
She's right about being rejected. We only have so many spots, and we do the best to fill them. And that doesn't mean that you're not any better than anyone else that's here. A lot of it has to do with timing, availability. We've said that, and just what personalities match, and how it works together. We hire males and females, anybody that wants to work. But I will tell you that whatever job you do get, your first job's a job. They're not always fun, but find the fun in it and give it your best, because the harder you work, the easier it is to get the next job, the easier it is to get promoted. People pay attention. So just give it your all. I mean, it may not be the kind of thing you want to do for the rest of your life, but at least you know that you gave it a go.
For sure, just giving things a go is a huge part. How about you, Elliott?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with everything Sarah and Lisa both said. I think the one big thing that I would say is I think especially with a first job, it's probably one of the best places to kind of step out of your comfort zone, kind of if you're shy, kind of get out of your shell a little bit and get the experience of talking to people you don't know, and just having, I know a lot of people who really don't like small talk, and anywhere with a first job is going to be really awkward at first, especially with small talk and just trying to talk with guests while you're at the register and they're paying and you're just kind of standing there in silence. And I think that's a really good opportunity for people to start kind of getting comfortable with that, because it is a really big part of life, even outside of work. And it was definitely something I was very uncomfortable with when I started my first job. And it's something that has helped me a lot with just that one skill of just being able to ask someone how their day is going. So I think just getting out of your shell and stepping out of your comfort zone is one of the biggest things that I think you guys will take away from having your first job or any new job you get.
Yeah, small talk is definitely, I would say, underrated. I think once you can get over the small talk, there's a lot of good conversations that can come out of it, for sure. And how about you, Angie?
I have to say I agree with everything that's been said so far by my fellow panelists. I think the only other thing that I could possibly think of is just to be open to every opportunity that might come up. You might have a friend who has a job, and that was how I got my first job. I had a friend call me up and they were short at the restaurant, and so I just went in and helped out. So I think just be open to opportunities that are out there. That was definitely not the first job I thought I was going to have, but that's what happened. And like Lisa said, every job gives you experience and you can just keep building on it. So just be open to opportunities.
Yeah, I love that. So many opportunities, just gotta try to find them. And since we do have some extra time, there's a little fun question that we have. So whoever wants to answer this can go ahead and answer it. But can panelists share their first jobs?
I can jump in for you, Jessica. We talked about this when we were getting ready for the panel to start, but just a super fun story. About 20 years ago, I used to work at Walrus. I used to work for Lisa, and it wasn't my first job ever, but when I moved to Fort Collins to attend CSU, it was one of my first jobs here in town. I didn't know a lot of people other than the roommates that I had that I got off of a flyer on the bulletin board at the grocery store. And I met so many people. I still know some of those people to this day who do different things here in town. One of my coworkers here in recreation, I actually worked with her brother. So I'm able to make those connections now even. I remember one day when I was working at Walrus, a customer came in and he was so upset about his ice cream. And I cried. I went in the office and I cried because I didn't know how to handle someone being upset with me, especially about ice cream. I was like, why, how can you be so upset about something that is so good? And I didn't know how to handle that. So taking that experience, and whether I'm serving ice cream or serving kids or serving the community or serving in a homeless shelter, it's all the same. Being, like Elliott said, that small talk and being able to listen to people and help them solve whatever is making their day not as good as we hope it would be. My experience working at Walrus was amazing. I still talk about it so much to this day because the whole team was so flexible. I was able to go in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, make the ice cream, go to my classes during the day, come back, work a shift at night, help learn how to do cash deposits and close up the shop at night. There was something for everyone, and there was so much that I was able to take from that experience that transferred into so many jobs that I had after that. And now I get to go there and see the artwork still on the walls that my coworkers did back then. And it, you know, being a part of a community, I know our city keeps getting bigger, but it makes it feel small still. And I really love that. So that's my story.
I love that. That's so cool. This just like feels full circle. And I swear we did not plan the panelists out that way. It just happened that way. Would anyone else like to share their first job? And if not, we have another question too that can be answered.
Yeah, so I actually have, like Sarah, it's also not technically my first job. So my first job was actually over at which, if you guys don't know, it's a sandwich shop. And it just happens to be in the same shopping area that Urban Air is in. And I worked at which for right about 2 years before I saw that Urban Air was opening up. And at the time I was kind of looking for a second job. I was trying to move out of my parents' place. And I convinced myself, you know, like I'll go and apply. And because they were just opening, I actually interviewed with one of the owners. And it was probably the weirdest interview I've ever done. We did skits as a full group with about 15 teenagers, and I was almost 19 at the time, and it was very strange. But I was very hesitant when I started. I'd only had one other job before, and I started there when they first opened as a team member. Became I was in the first group of leads a couple months later. And then a couple months after that is when I got brought into management. And I've been there since day one. And it's always super fun when I get to connect with the team members, especially the new ones who weren't there when we first opened. And I'll talk to them. I'm like, oh, I remember when I used to work track. And they think it's the funniest thing, thinking of me in an orange t-shirt running after go-karts. But I always like to tell, especially new people, that story, or people who kind of get this, like, they get down on themselves a little bit, especially because it's their first job. Just letting them know, like, hey, things happen that you don't expect to happen. I didn't expect to become the park operations manager when I applied there to be a team member as a second job. But things always happen when you least expect them to happen, especially at places that you never would have thought for it to happen. And it's just, I don't know, it's a fun time now. I'm having a blast working over there. I'm so happy that I put into my application that one day. So yeah, that was my story.
That's awesome. One of these days you're gonna have to tell us what skit you did. And I'm like super curious to know. Would any of the other panelists like to share their first jobs?
My job wasn't all that exciting. I was just turned 16. Literally the day after I turned 16, I got the phone call from my friend that they needed some help at a restaurant that was nearby, and I bussed tables for my first job. That I was there for about a year and a half, almost actually 2 years. And then I became 18 and was able to, I changed to a different job. And it wasn't that exciting, but it helped, and it made me do better for my next job, which made me know what I wanted to do a little bit better in my future. And like everybody said, you just kind of build on what you've done.
Definitely. There's always something to gain from something. And how about you, Lisa?
My first job was McDonald's, and I actually loved it. I had a boss that I loved. I came from a very small town in Iowa, so a lot of my friends worked there. It was more social than work, even though we did work. But it was great. It was a great learning experience, great job. Corporate has rules and systems in place, and some of that's good and some of it's bad. So being a local owner, I can appreciate the local part of my job versus the corporate part of my job. But it was a great job, and Sarah was a great employee, just to throw that in.
Again, full circle, we did not plan that. It just happened to be that way. And well, folks, that actually does conclude our employer panel. A big round of applause if you can use your reaction buttons, or if you have your cameras on, you know. Thank you so much again to all of the employers and businesses for being here. I've personally gained a lot of insight and I think advice and things that I can use. And hopefully the rest of our audience members did as well. So again, thank you all so much for being here, and we really do appreciate it. And so with that, we are going to be transitioning into the next part of our presentation. But first, we're going to send out 1 to 2 polling questions real quick. I'm just going to wait for that to pop on the screen. And so this question is, if you are a young job seeker in the audience, are you under 14, 14 to 15, 16 to 18, or 18 and above? And there's also an option if you're not a young job seeker to choose that as well. I think after this, we'll do 1 more polling question. Sweet, so it looks like there's a lot of 16 to 18-year-olds out there in the audience. And then the next question is, what type of work are you looking for? You can choose multiple ones, so there's health, manufacturing, recreation/outdoors, retail, food industry, STEM, other, and I don't know is an option. Just gonna give it some more time. Alrighty, so now that polling question is over, the Career Rise team actually has something super exciting that we want to share with you all, which is our paid summer internships. So I'll hand it back over to Sandy.
Thank you. What great information the panel shared, but I want to share some great information too. Our team this summer is going to be hosting 40, not necessarily hosting, but supporting 40 paid internship opportunities. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about those opportunities and answer any questions that any audience members may have. These opportunities are for high school students age 16 to 18. They are going to be 250 hours long, and we're paying $14 an hour. These internships will be worked between June and August this coming summer. And the internships are supported by our Northern Colorado Manufacturing Sector Partnership, our Northern Colorado Health Sector Partnership, and Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development. What I would encourage you to do, and what I really want to make note of, is that These positions are in the manufacturing and the health sector partnerships, but there's a variety of occupations that are listed in those two pathways. So if you think, oh, manufacturing isn't something that I'm interested in, or healthcare isn't a field that I'm interested in, I really like marketing. Well, guess what? There's marketing positions within those sectors. So I would really encourage you to dig into those, to see where those opportunity lies. The internship opportunities that are supported through the Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development Department, that those are going to be a variety of different sectors, a variety of different occupations. We do have some eligibility requirements wrapped up into those 15 positions. So make sure that as you're looking through those to pay attention to that. But we're really excited to be able to provide support this summer. If you do need some help prior to putting in your application, if you want a resume review, if you want a little bit of support in working on your resume before you put in an application for these positions, we're here and available to help you with that. You can see that there is a code up on the screens. If you scan it, it's going to take you straight to that website, and you can start looking through the different internship opportunities that are available. But I did want to make sure that I give an opportunity for folks to ask questions if you have any about the summer internship opportunities. And again, what we strive to do with this program is we really want to make sure that you're finding opportunities to build out that resume experience and potentially explore a different career pathway that may be of interest to you. And having it be just a little bit more than maybe a summer job, you know, something that can really get you moving into a pathway of interest. Do we have any questions? So I do see a question that came in asking about welding. So yes, there are positions where you're supporting a team that does welding. Depending on your age will dictate whether you can actually do the welding or not. But we do have a couple of positions where you'll have the opportunity to shadow and to learn more about that particular occupation. I had a question come in asking about age. So our requirement is that you turn 16 by June. So if you are 15 and you want to apply now, certainly do that. We do want to make sure that you're 16 before you start the internship. And so that's just one thing to kind of pay attention to. If you're kind of a middle of June person, I had a question come up to me a week ago that said, hey, my birthday's on June 15th and I'm going to be turning 16 at that time. Go ahead and apply, make note of it in your application that you're aware of it and you're excited about the position. And really, it's going to come down to the employer's choice. If they're willing to delay the start of your internship to your birthday or the day after, you know, we'll welcome that and allow it. But we certainly aren't able to go past kind of mid-June with a start date because we do want to make sure that you're able to get the full 250 hours in over the summer. Our applications are open and live, and they will be closing on March 31st. So end of day, March 31st is when the application will shut down. And the internship opportunities, so one thing that I will have to have you guys take notice of is that our manufacturing supported and health sector supported internships are across Larimer, Weld, and Northern Boulder counties. So just as you're looking through those opportunities, pay attention if you don't have the kind of transportation to get you to Boulder or to get you out to Greeley. Make sure you pay attention to that. The Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development positions are all Larimer County businesses, and all of those positions will be within the boundaries of the county. And again, these opportunities are for high school students 16 to 18. So we're kind of looking for that age range. And I think I covered all of the questions that came in. Any other questions on summer internships? I would highly encourage you all to bring your best game forward on your application and resume because they are competitive. I see a question coming in about chemical engineering. What a great pathway. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who we have that could fit into that. There might be a company that houses that occupation in the company. So I would encourage you to go specifically to our manufacturing sector partnerships and take a look through those, the different positions that we have there. Some of those companies may do some work with chemical engineering and may have lab and chemistry work. None of them are going to be specifically, doing hands-on stuff in that particular field, but it can give you exposure to that pathway and that occupation. Great. So I am going to are we transitioning to a polling question? Do we have another one up there? So let's see what we've got. We've got another polling question, and then we're going to transition into hearing a little bit about our Larimer County Conservation Corps. So we'd love to know how you heard about us. How did you hear about this event? This helps us understand the best places to reach you all and make sure you're getting information and opportunities that we have to share. All right. Well, I am going to go ahead and introduce our Larimer County Conservation Corps, and I'm going to let them talk about what programs and offerings they have going on this summer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mally Orpeza. I'm the manager of the Larimer County Conservation Corps. And I just want to say thanks for joining us this evening for this event. And want to also say thanks to the Career Rise team for putting this event on and inviting the Conservation Corps to participate. So I've been asked to talk about opportunities within the Conservation Corps. What I would start with is that most of our opportunities are for 18 to 25-year-olds. So that's kind of the age range that we're focusing on right now. So I'll kind of talk about those variety of opportunities and how they play out across our programming. So I'm mostly going to focus on our summer programming. We do offer winter and spring programs through our water and energy program. But tonight I'm going to just focus on our summer programming in our forestry land and our trail crews. Next slide. So this summer we have 2 trail crews that will be operating across Rocky Mountain National Park and the U.S. Forest Service. Those are teams of 10. Majority of their time will be camping. Again, we'll be hiring crew leaders, assistant crew leaders, and Corps members to participate in those crews. They'll be mostly focused on trail construction and trail maintenance throughout the Cameron Peak fire that we had this past fall. You can see that the Forest Service is a longer crew that runs out into the fall. So we're definitely looking for folks that are don't have commitments that will be requiring them to go back to school. We're looking for folks that can commit through the fall for the U.S. Forest Service crew. And then our Rocky Mountain National Park crew will really run from June through August. That fits into this summer schedule and allow folks to go back and participate in school. Next slide. The other 2 opportunities are our land crew. Again, we're going to be hiring 10 members for that crew. The majority of that crew will also spend camping Monday through Thursday. That's 8 weeks of projects. That crew will mostly be working on projects across a variety of agencies, state, local, and federal agencies. That work consists of working at the fish hatchery, doing trail work, pulling invasive species as weeds, and then also doing some fire recovery as well across that crew. Our Forestry Crew is a more specialized crew that camps the majority of the summer. They camp, I think, their entire summer. They work Monday through Thursday, again, camping Monday through Thursday, and they operate chainsaws and get certified to operate chainsaws across federal lands, which, if you're interested in natural resources, is definitely a certification and skill that can help open some doors across the natural resource field. The other piece that's not on this slide is we will be having a 5th crew of 18 to 25-year-olds at this point, again, hiring 10 members. That crew will be focused on just fire recovery. So they'll be helping out, cleaning up debris, dropping hazard trees, chipping, helping people clean up their property, that sort of thing within the burn area of the Cameron Peak fire. Again, that opportunity will be from June through August. So again, most of these opportunities, except for our U.S. Forest Service crew, will allow folks to participate across the summer and get back to school. So across all of those crews, we're looking to hire roughly 50 staff. That's core members, assistant crew leaders, and leaders across our programming this season. I would also say that we will be making an announcement early next week about additional opportunities this summer that may include 16 to 18-year-olds. We're waiting to hear back from some of our funders. So as soon as that announcement is made, probably midweek of next week, we'll make sure that that is put on our website and across all of our social media platforms. We will also make sure that that information gets shared to the Career Rise team so it can go out further across networks as well. So if you are 16 to 18 and still looking for opportunities to be involved in the Conservation Corps, there is a possibility. Check back next week while you're on spring break. Check our website, check the Career Rise website, and across social media. And we're hopeful that there could be some opportunities for youth involvement this summer. That's about it for me from the Conservation Corps standpoint. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to field those. Great. Well, that's all from the Conservation Corps standpoint.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Mally, for sharing that information about the Conservation Corps. You all do some awesome work, and it's super exciting to see all those opportunities that you have. And so that's it, everyone. That was Summer Employment Nights Fort Collins. Thank you all so much for attending, and we're so glad that you all got to learn more about Career Rise, our business panel, and the Conservation Corps as well. Our contact information is on this slide, and we will be sending out a follow-up email. And we have one last question before you all leave. And so that is, how many people also watch this event with you? Because we know while there are some folks by themselves, we know there are other folks who are watching this with their families, siblings, things like that. So we'd love to know. Wow, there's 3 people who have 4 other folks, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, thank you again all for attending. And we'll be sticking around, I guess, if anybody has additional questions. Again, feel free to reach out to Career Rise if you have any questions regarding youth employment, if you want to connect with those businesses, things like that. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.